Wladfa, gweri'n gwaliau'n codi pac, Captain George, diw iarllon, daw i'r Cymru newydd sbon. A drobydd bod na golyd yn y doli, rhwng y mynydd ar ei weri, yn yr rhaid tir na nôl, yng ngwlad o Patagonia, Bienvenido Wladfa, Victoria.
Croeso and welcome to Tales for Wales, the pod that never fails to remind you that Wales shall be free from the river to the sea. Go on, Suella Braveman, arrest me for that, you fucking welt. You absolute welt.
That's right, we've gone political, we're doing it.
We've gone political, mate. Go on, fuck you little Suella. It's so funny that Suella is like the cruelest woman, and it's so close to Cruella.
Yeah,
I mean,
Suella Deville, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who else mentioned that, because that's only just come into my head now, and I feel like that's surely all over. Like,
no, mate, you're the first person who's ever thought of that connection. Yeah, pick up boy, Suella Deville.
Yeah, well, this is episode
Banning
2.
XL bullies. What's next? Skinny Dalmatian, Suella. Yeah.
Yeah, we know your fucking agenda. She comes in with a whole fucking coat made of XL bullies next week. We'll know what's been happening.
I tell you what, I wish she spoke and acted like Cruella Deville from the cartoons as well. Listen, darling, I just can't be doing with it.
Yeah. With that mad cigarette, like the cigarillo.
Huge cigarillo, yeah.
That'd be class. Yeah, that was a really scary show film, wasn't it, when we were younger?
Yeah, you know when she's in there's that scene you see like sort of on clips a lot where she's in the car and she's gone fucking like bloodlusted after these bloody these Dalmatians.
She's driving like
insane.
Toad of Toad Hall with her little gloves on. She's gone wild.
Yeah. Did you see the remake of that with Emma Stone?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the worst film in the world, but
no, it wasn't the worst.
It is following that trend of like turning the villains into like, oh no, they're actually really understandable, lovely guys, and it's like, no, keep them baddies. Like I
saw it in the cinema with Emma, and it was like fucking 2.5, 3 hours long. It was so long. Yeah, I was like, fuck it, I get it. She's a baddie. She's Cruella Deville. She's got cruel in her name.
If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. I get it, yeah.
She's going to send migrants to some barge in the middle of the ocean. we got her number. I was going to say, this is episode part 2, well, second episode. They're always a bit looser, aren't they? But the last episode was quite quick. I actually didn't get through much of my drink. I'm still kind of on pint number 4, and I was on pint 4 last episode.
Mate, I'm on passion fruit Cactus Jacks, bargain bin Cactus Jacks number 2.
Well,
and you know what? It tastes a bit like I don't know. It tastes a bit like toffee, but like I don't know, like smelly toffee. It's not very nice.
Shoffy, shit toffee.
It doesn't taste like fucking passion fruit. I can tell you that much.
It's because I was doing the episode. You don't get to drink as much, do you? When you're doing the old preghetti and when you're doing the old preaching. This
is where it goes back though, and it comes in waves. So like you didn't get to drink that much last time because you're talking. Now I'll be doing the talking. You get to fucking booze up a bit.
Glugging
on the side.
As we were just talking about a movie, then the Cruella Deville. It came into my mind earlier, and I was going to text the boys, but I thought I'll message you first, or I'll tell you about it first on the pod. Do you remember when we from about 13 to 16 were the fittest we'd ever been in our lives, because every single lunchtime we'd play Bulldogs, and we'd play it like hard and aggressive, and we'd have our lunch within like 10 minutes, and then the next 15 minutes of break of lunchtime we'd play in Bulldogs, which if you don't know what Bulldogs is, there's you have two ends of a field, and most of you line up on one side, and you have one guy in the middle, the bulldog, the titular bulldog,
the proverbial XL bully, if you will.
Yeah. So they got the XL bully in the middle, and then you got everyone else on one side. They got to run across the field and get to the other side of the field without being taken to the ground and pinned to the floor. If you get pinned to the floor, you then join the XL bullies in the middle. And we used to play that so much, and it's like playing. It's essentially rugby without the rugby ball. And then people used to like us playing it, so more and more people would join. It would get more and more popular, and more and more violent. Yeah, really rough. Ripped shirts, broken. Yeah, you would get like bashed around, punched. You know, it would be quite. it would be much more aggressive than it ever started off. It was really fun. We fucking loved it, didn't we? But when we were about 14, maybe 15, at the height of the nerdiness of us, we went to the biggest nerd in our group. Sadly, we're no longer friends with this little boffin, because I really want to ask him about it. But we went to our mate's house, who was like way cleverer than all of us dumb idiots, and we filmed Bulldogs the movie. Do you remember?
You just made me fucking almost implode with cringe.
I forgot. I completely forgot
the fucking scenes on that. My God.
Yeah. So we were maybe 40. I really just think we need to for therapy. But we were about 40. So like we were loving it so much that we went to his house, and he like. His mum had like a house with quite a big garden, didn't he? So we could actually play Bulldogs in his garden. But we talked about it for ages that we were going to film Bulldogs the movie, and it was all shot in black and white.
Just to interrupt you, that his mum was fucking away with the Tylwyth Teg. She was away with the fucking fairies.
Yeah,
sorry. If you're listening, we'll probably bleep your name out. So I mean, you probably know who you are if you're listening. But there we are.
His mum was wild. She was bit fucking loose, wasn't she? And she, anyway, so we're in his back garden, and we all lined up, and he filmed all of our faces in black and white, and every one of us had a separate scene, and he'd be like, so we'd run through the Bulldogs, do it in slow motion. Someone did like a cross. Our mate Sean did a cross, like a crucifix, to like say, may God have mercy upon my soul."
Oh,
like
that was it.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, he did the cross and kiss to the sky, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And we filmed it, and it went on YouTube. Like, he uploaded it to YouTube, and I was thinking, if anyone else found that video, we would have been battered at school. It would have been the most
Christ,
fucking. Yeah. I'm so surprised we got away with filming it, doing a proper. Like a whole day's worth of different scenes, running through slow motion, over the top music, all shot in black and white, and then
God, yeah, it had a backing track, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like an upbeat thing. Yeah. And those fucking face to camera ones, you know, like how when a big boxing match is coming up, and you'll see like Anthony Joshua or Fury looking at the camera, like, and it's like dedication, strength, passion, you know what I mean? Like, it was like one of those things. So
losers,
virgins, losers. Now gonna sniff a girl. Yeah.
It was, but I was trying to find it, but there's no chance in hell we'll ever find it.
Why would you go looking for that fucking that sort of punishment for yourself? It's no need.
Oh, it was unreal. But that came into my mind. I thought, I wonder if you remember that.
The memories are coming flooding back to me now, and I didn't need it.
But that was when we were a bit younger. But then we carried on playing Bulldogs for like 2 years until it got too rough. It was like fucking. It was like
two big boys then, weren't we?
Yeah, we got too big, didn't we? Fucking huge.
I broke my toe on that.
You broke your toe playing
field.
it, yeah?
Broke my toe. Didn't was it Ellis who broke something on there? He fucked something up. I can't remember. There's a few injuries, wasn't there?
Yeah, I bashed my nose, but my nose has always been broken. I've been punching it fucking too many times. It's absolute wonkathon now.
It's the price of admission when you're a hard boy, innit?
When you're fucking rough as bright houses, you get fucking. You'll get a few. Also, my nose is quite big, so it's the first thing that gets punched when you get fucking into a bit of a barney. That was my little reminder of how cool we were in our youth.
I'm thinking about that. I'm going to lie in bed later thinking about that. Going, why?
I remember the intro was like, ah. It was like intense music like that.
I think it was like a Gorillaz song, you know. Some of the time Gorillaz. That was into Gorillaz at the time, and he used to claim that he was like the first one to ever hear him or something like that.
Well, I remember that.
His uncle or something used to work on the trains. He was a train conductor. And he said that he used to find people's like leftover MP3 players. This was before the days of like iPods. And he said then he used to listen to the music. So he used to listen to new music all the time and then tell Tim about it. And I was thinking, what a long-winded way to say your fucking uncle's a fucking virgin, man.
Didn't his brother steal from your wallet when you went over there?
Yeah. I went over there and I forgot my wallet over there and it had a tenner in it. And
that for us is quite like decent.
That was a lot of money at the time.
Yeah.
And then this is what I was on about with mum's being away with the fairies. She rang my mum then and said, "Oh look, we found Jack's wallet, and David, who was the brother, has admitted that he stole a tenner out of it to buy drugs." And she said, "Now, would you like the tenner back, or would you prefer a £10 Waterstones gift voucher?" And I was like, even me, when at that age, I was when my mum told me about it, I was like, what do you think the answer to that would be? Oh, please give me the Waterstones voucher. If I wanted to go to Waterstones and buy a book, I could have just taken my tenner, my legal tender there.
But also, why mention that you've been...
You could have just put a tenner in the fucking thing and given it back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking
So
madness. And also what he used to do, he used to order pizzas, but with no toppings. And by that I mean no sauce, no cheese, no nothing.
We're talking
and
about our friend now, not the friend brother, by the way.
No,
he was on drugs, but he wasn't insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So his mum would just call up and be like, "Hi, like hot for you pizza. Can I get like pepperoni, meat feast, and then can I get a pizza with nothing on it?" And then she said, "Like, I know what you mean. I know what you think I mean when I say nothing on it, but I mean nothing. Just the dough. Can I have hot dough?"
You did the one side of the thing, wouldn't you? Going like, "With nothing on it, please." No, not margarita. I don't mean a margarita. No cheese, no sauce. Yes, I'm serious. You know,
that was weird, man.
Just bake the dough.
Do you remember when we stayed over his house? We used to he came into the, like, I think we were all in one room, and he was like really clever, and he used to make his own like controllers for games and stuff, but he was also really annoying. So when we were all camping on his floor, we threw his pillow out the window. So when he went down to pick up his pillow, then we threw his sleeping bag out the window. God, yeah. And it was like a revolving thing. And then so I wouldn't get in trouble, I threw my own pillow out the window in case you told
Who's
on me.
Done this? Yeah. Do you remember we used to do that thing as well, where, because we'd all be on the floor and it was like hardwood floors, we'd be on like sleeping bags and like sort of, I don't know, a thin duvet underneath us with something else on top. And then basically when someone would move their head slightly, you'd yank their pillow out from under them. So when they put their head back down, they smack it on the hardwood floor. It hurts
so much. Yeah, that's why we're backwards boys now.
Nasty. Yeah. That's why we are the way we are.
Do we have anything to read out for this week's episode?
I've got another, if you listen to the last episode, another short and sweet one. This was a comment on the Tiger Bay episode, and this was by Brendan Small Batera. He's commented on us a few times, actually. He's an avid commenter. He's a good lad.
Go on, mate.
And he commented on the Tiger Bay episode, and he just said, "Let's go!" with 3 exclamation marks.
What an absolute legend. So where are these comments? Is this on our YouTube?
So no, these ones were from Spotify. So on Spotify, it's an automatic thing, by the way. We're not being try-hard. It comes, it's not published. I don't think it's public. But if you're listening to the episode, it comes up with what do you think of this episode? It's just an automatic feature. We're not being like, please love me. But yeah, a few people have commented.
I've seen that before. It's just like, tell me what you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very like, tell me what you think of this episode. It's very, here we are. What do you think of this episode? So that's not us doing it, but we do appreciate your responses.
Yeah, why are you so defensive? Why are you trying to distance yourself?
I don't know, because when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to think we're going, oh please, what do you reckon? What do you reckon? And it's like,
oh, do you like this episode?
You know what I mean? We'll delete it. All this shit. Yeah, I hate everything.
It was a joke episode anyway. We'll delete it right now. Well, talking of, hang on.
Yeah, try and do this one. Go on.
So talking of things I don't quite understand, or something. Hang on. So talking of people reaching out to us in ways we didn't realise they could. This week's episode is about how Wales reached out to South America in ways that most people don't know that we did.
Nice. That actually recovered that very nicely at the end. Yeah. No, that
sounded
good.
I think it sounded more poetic than it was.
You had a couple of misfires at the start, but you got there.
Keep them in. We got to show how real we are.
Of course, yeah. We're always been real, mate. We're genuine. So yeah, this episode, I'm going to be talking about Wladfa. So Wladfa, or the colony in English, occasionally called Wladfa Gymraeg, or in English, the Welsh settlement, are both names for a collection of settlements made by Welsh immigrants in Patagonia. They date back to 1865, and they're focused along the coast of what's called the Lower Chubut Valley. That today falls under what's called the Chubut province as well. So I know
do they add the butt from Wales? You know, in Wales we call each other butt or butty.
Yeah, it was just the Chew province before we came over.
Chubutty, what's happening, Chubut? You right, butt?
Yeah.
Hey, not bad, Chubutty.
Yeah. And so, if you, I know I'm throwing a lot of things. I don't know if anyone is geography inclined here. I'm certainly not. But the if you look at a map, Patagonia is sort of like the southern half of Argentina, and then Patagonia is split into 5 provinces. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of these. There's like Neuquén, Rio Negro, Chubut, Santa Cruz, and Tierra del Fuego. Chubut is just above the middle of the country, essentially. So, yeah, if you care to look it up on a map, and you'll see where it is.
So, Del Fuego, why do I know that name?
You probably know it because when we went to Spain with school, we went on a ride called Temple del Fuego.
I think I know it. It must be
That's certainly how I know it.
You got to that so quickly.
That's exactly the little nodes in my brain lit up. It's like, yeah, let's go for it.
There's a deli called Deli Fuego. Fuego must mean something that I know.
It's Temple del Fuego, mate. You must understand
this. Right, sorry, back to you.
Tell me I'm
Fuego,
lying,
doesn't it mean fire?
I think, I don't know. Does it?
Fuego.
Temple of Fire? That would make sense.
Yeah, Fuego is Spanish.
There's a lot of fire in the ride, so yeah, that would make sense.
Is that the one that used to sing Enter Sandman on repeat?
No, it's the one where there was like an Indiana Jones type like guiding everyone through it, but he was speaking Spanish, and everyone was like laughing. And
Fuego. Yeah. Right, sorry for interrupting.
No worries. So you're forgiven. So anyway, right, I'll get back on track. Where was I? So way back in the after Del Fuego. So yeah, look on the map if you want to know where it is. But basically, back in the 1800s, Wales's language and culture was under pretty harsh attack from the English, with things like the Welsh Not being enforced on the country. For those who don't know what the Welsh Not was, it was a measure the English implemented in Wales, Welsh schools specifically. And basically, if a child was caught speaking Welsh, they'd have to hang this piece of wood around their necks. It had the initials WN on it for the Welsh Not. The knot would pass to the next person to be caught speaking Welsh, and so on and so forth. And then whoever had the knot hanging around their neck at the end of the day would be caned. So it was a way of like systematically punishing people for speaking the language of Welsh.
It's truly awful.
Yeah, and it's worth bearing in mind at this point in time, 90% of the people in Wales spoke Welsh. I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, not that many people speak Welsh in Wales, but that's today. Back then,
and that's the reason why we don't. It's a reason.
Exactly.
It's this institutionalised backing down of a language.
Yeah, so back then, 90% of people spoke Welsh in Wales as a first language as well. So a lot of kids would struggle with English because it wasn't their first language and stuff. So if they were caught talking with their friends in Welsh or whoever, they'd have this Welsh Not, and then they get caned at the end of the day if they still had it around their neck. So yeah, Welsh people were a bit pissed off with this. The English crusade against Welsh culture drove a lot of people at the time to move to America, including a guy named Michael D. Jones. He was a big Welsh nationalist, originally from Bala in North Wales. And while he was living in Ohio, he observed that his fellow Welsh immigrants that had moved to the States, they very quickly assimilated, which is a good thing, of course, but at the cost of losing a lot of what he thought was their Welsh identity, and sort of trading it in for what was an already established American one. So he became obsessed with the idea of creating a place where the Welsh could be Welsh, free from English oppression, but also where they could continue their own culture, and they didn't have to sort of share it with an already established sort of group of people. He considered a few places, including Australia, New Zealand, and even Palestine at one point. But decided
that's
to
so convenient.
Yeah.
I started this episode off with a controversial ditty.
You did, yeah. I was thinking when you said it, I was like, ooh, that's going to come up later. A little sizzle reel. But yeah, anyway, he decided to take a punt on Patagonia, basically because the Argentinian government at the time, they offered him 100 square miles of land along the Chubut River. The only payment they would ask for this is that he built a lasting settlement in what was at the time unconquered land. So I didn't get too much into this, but apparently at the time, Argentina, Chile, and Buenos Aires, they all had claims to this part of the land, like Patagonian land, but it was as yet undeveloped by any of those parties. So I think,
and to be clear, this isn't like when when Europeans colonized America from Native Americans. These are like well-established places by now, and there wasn't really anyone living there, was there? Is that right?
Well.
Oh, is it not?
Wholly
okay.
Innocent. No, it's not wholly innocent.
Oh, right.
I'll get into that.
Hang on. I'm just gonna have a quick piss. Let me come back in a second.
Yeah, go for it. I'll do the same actually. Yeah.
Oh, I always thought that from what I've read about this, I always thought that they were kind of missold this piece of land, but there was no one there, and it wasn't like they were colonials in the sense of they had an army and they invaded and they took over. But am I wrong with that?
It certainly wasn't like army invading, so it wasn't as sort of egregious as the Americans with
the Native Americans.
Rather the Americans, sorry, the Europeans with the Native Americans. But yeah, I'll get more into that in a little bit. But basically, at this stage, Argentina, Chile, and Buenos Aires, they all thought they had a bit of a claim on this bit of Patagonia.
Is Buenos Aires in Argentina?
Now, yeah.
Oh.
I think it was, again, I haven't looked too deep into this.
Yeah.
I think it was its own, like, kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, like city-state, something like that. I'm not sure, colony, whatever. Yeah. But they all thought they had a claim on this little bit of land, but no party had, like, developed any settlements or anything like that, so it was kind of still up in the air. Like I said, I didn't get into much. I clicked on the link, there was a fucking load to read, and I was like, look,
we're not on about that history, are we? We're on about Welsh history.
So anyway, what happened was the Argentinian government and Michael Jones, they did a little deal, and Argentina put him in charge of the land, the large tract of land. Jones got to work, and he created a little handbook to publicise the future settlement called Wladfa, or the Colony Handbook in English, and he distributed it throughout Wales to gather interest, so to gather colonists to go over with him. By the end of 1862, a ship was chartered and was led by a Captain Love Jones Parry, which is a great name, Captain Love. You got problems? Just have looked at Captain Love. I love that. So Captain Love went over with another lovely Welsh lad named Lewis Jones. The two stopped off in Buenos Aires before sailing further south to Patagonia on another ship called the Candelaria. They ran into a storm along the coast and were forced into a bay that they then decided to name Port Madryn.
No way.
After Lewis Jones's estate back home in Wales. They did like a very brief survey there, a couple of little tests and whatever, and they determined that the area was suitable to colonise. So following this, after doing all these checks and everything, on July 28th, 1865, 153 Welsh settlers journeyed 2 months and 4 days to Patagonia on a ship called the Mimosa, which I love as well. How did you arrive here, Bet? I was on the Mimosa, darling, don't worry.
If you haven't been to Cardiff for like a bottomless brunch on a Sunday or Saturday and seen the absolute women on a mimosas, they could invade anywhere and they'd win. Fucking girls from the valleys on the mimosas are unbeatable. Also, how good are mimosas?
They're great, mate. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll drink a prosecco or champagne, but
Prosecco.
chuck a bit of orange in that, man. Christmas, mate, Bucks Fizz, I'm all about that.
Do you know what we're having at our wedding when people arrive? We're having Asti. It's like like martinis, the company Martini.
Oh yeah.
We're having like this it's like a peach Asti. Which is like, because I fucking hate Prosecco. Prosecco's shit. Champagne's shit. Asti's it's like a peach or pear or something. It's really sweet and it's so easy to drink and it doesn't taste like fucking
lovely
fizzy.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's really I always like it doesn't taste like dry, horrible grown up stuff.
Yeah,
it's
like
so
I know champagne is like it's expensive, isn't it? But it is. It's dry.
Horrible.
It's gassy. It's
But this is like it's like someone's made. You know, what's that? People who make the squash called
Robinsons.
No, fruit barley. Do you remember fruit barley?
Oh right, yeah.
Have you ever had like peach fruit barley?
Yeah, I know you mean.
Yeah, it's just that, but with alcohol in it. It's fucking amazing.
Lovely. Sounds
so mimosa, fruit barley, done. Back to you.
There we are. Yeah, now we're back. So yeah, they came over on the Mimosa, and the Mimosa carried cobblers, carpenters, brickmakers, and miners. It consisted of 56 married couples, 33 single lads, 12 single women, and 52
those
children.
Poor women.
Yeah, and the 52 children, I thought, Jesus, that's a hell of a way to drag 52 kids, isn't it?
But kids, like the mortality rate for so long was so fucking bleak. Like I was looking at this the other day, like the medieval, in like the 1400s in England and Wales, less so recorded in Wales, but in England, the average age was about 31. But if you were to get past being 11 years old, that then shot up even higher. So like the amount of people who
it's
just
a common
the child mortality
misconception
rates-
isn't it, that people think
Yeah.
you die at 30. Don't. If you
No.
make it past childhood, you'll live like about 60 or
No
something
more.
back then. won't
Yeah.
it? But it's just that child mortality rates was so shite
Fucking
back then
grim
that,
and high,
that
yeah.
it just brings the old average down by quite a distance. So that was the lot that were on the Mimosa. The majority of these people were from South Wales as well, or the South Wales coalfield, which stretches from quite a big bit of land down south, but it was essentially sort of South Wales. Once this first lot of colonists arrived, they soon realised that the Argentinian government had overpromised on the state of the land they'd been sent to a little bit, so they're telling slight porkies. The Argentinian government had told the Welsh that the land they'd be tasked to colonise was very similar to what lowland Wales was. But on arrival, the colonists realised the little patch of Patagonia they'd been asked to settle on turned out to be very arid and basically like desert-like.
Yeah.
A far cry from the
Tricked.
fertile lands of home. Yeah, absolutely tricked.
It's such a Welsh fucking story, isn't it? We've been duped. They're the first colonisers to be fucking duped.
Can you imagine going over and going, "You're having a fucking laugh, and you."
Oh, you fucking what? It's fucking like Barry Island down here. It's fucking shit.
When's the fucking beach end then? Just marching into the desert.
No, this is the oh fuck. It's just so Welsh, isn't it? We're the only people who can colonise somewhere and we actually improve the place because of how shit the situations when we get there. See that bit of shit desert?
We'll have to make it work. So the Welsh settlers, they were forced to walk across 30 miles of parched plain to the Chubut Valley with only a single wheelbarrow for all their belongings. Some of the settlers, imagine like making that. Can I bring this? No, you fucking can't.
No.
Look, someone's put the keg in there. We're taking that with us. We're gonna need it.
I was just gonna say the amount of fucking. Because I travel light, but I don't think I could. I don't think I could be as light as a wheelbarrow for my entire existence.
You might be. I might be able to put everything I want to bring in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
But when there's another like 149 people with me, they're going, "Can I put something in there?" Nah, I want.
Oh, it's a bit
Also,
full.
Imagine trudging a fucking wheelbarrow across sand
It
as
is
well.
sand.
That's
I
it.
know.
I'm like,
Yeah.
whose go is it now? Because I've had enough.
But why
This is
are
shit.
they so ill prepared?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't
they-
know. I did look into like why didn't they bring like something along? But I guess you just come off a ship. Like, what was the other option? Bring like horse and carts. Like that takes up more room on the ship, and I don't know. But anyway, so they had this. So they were.
And I imagine everyone had like a knapsack or something. They could bring a few stuff with them.
Oh yeah, like I imagine they'd all have a little personal effects with them. You know, like a carry-on Ryanair bag each, and then the wheelbarrows just for your extra heavy shit. But yeah, so they had to make this 30-mile trek across the plain to this Chubut Valley. A few of the settlers died en route, but on the way, the first ever Welsh Patagonian was born as they were travelling. But that makes me think, so some fucking poor girl was pregnant, going, "You're up for a 30-mile desert hike, can you?" Not really.
It's just like going from Cumbrae to Neath. It's a piece of piss.
It's just like the Welsh lowlands. Is it? Is it really? Also, can I have a go in the wheelbarrow? No. Fucking the beer's in there.
Just one giant keg. That's hilarious. And they haven't got the thing to open it, so they're fucking stuck.
Yeah. Who left the key back in the fucking
Can
shed?
open it back up.
So once they reached the valley, they built a very small fortress alongside the Chubut River, and it was called Yr Hen Amddiffynfa, or the Old Fortress. The first loads of houses they built there, very basic structures. They were made just from the earth that was beneath them, basically. So like proper like mud huts. But they were washed away along with most of their crops by a flash flood that hit them in 1865 because it was so near the river. You'd be going, "Oh fuck, mate, I've had enough now. Take me back to Wales.
I want to fucking go home." You
Yeah.
actually can't. This is home.
That one kid that's been born like en route, you're looking down at it going, "What have I gotten you into here? Jesus Christ." But the settlers, they're very resilient, undeterred. You know that Welsh spirit. They rebuilt their homes stronger. The fortress would later be known as the town of Rawson, which is actually today's capital of the Chubut province. So their hard work sort of paid off into modernity. The settlers soon realised, although there was abundant drinking water from the river, the rainfall in that part of the world was far too little to grow crops well. They also were met with suspicion and sometimes violence from the indigenous people, known as the, I'm going to probably mispronounce this, but Tehuelche, I'm going to say. I was going to say the Tehuelche people. So they're the indigenous tribes that were there. So once again on the pod, we'll mention the point that when most people back then say, oh, it was uninhabited land, what they mean is it wasn't inhabited by them. There was definitely people living in these places before anyone came there. These were not as like, from what I read, correct me if I'm wrong, audience, but they were not as like widespread as like Native Americans. It wasn't like a sort of, and it wasn't like a wiping out of the natives. It was just, we're moving in here now, so budge up, make some room. Which, as you can imagine, was still met with a bit of ire. But anyway, despite some tensions with the native populations, the settlers in the Tehuelche, I'm going to keep saying that wrong, Tehuelche, found a way to live together, with the settlers even relying on the natives during their early food shortages by trading with them for food, and they also traded for lessons in how to hunt the local wildlife. So they got into a symbiotic kind of thing.
When the Europeans landed in North America, that's how it first happened, like Thanksgiving and stuff. Like, if it wasn't for the Native Americans, they would have died instantly. They had no food. They didn't know how to hunt there. They were really, really stuck on what to get. So the Native Americans gave them corn, showed them how to hunt turkeys and stuff. And but that kind of wiped them out. They all caught tuberculosis from the Europeans. They got really sick from them. And then, from that kindness the Native Americans gave the Europeans, they then fucking, history
not
shows what
repay
happened
inclined,
next.
did they?
No. But let's just imagine it's quite similar. But also, like you said, they're not warriors going over there. They're cobblers going over. So they're not there for a fight, but...
This was somewhat slightly different. Don't be wrong. There's still that notion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Going over to somewhere you don't belong and it's someone else's land, and you're just going, I'm here now. Deal with it. That's always bad. But it wasn't quite as as vicious as the later sagas, shall we say, of the Native Americans and stuff.
And this would have been roughly the same. Not too long after the first stuff. So I think pretty much the Native Americans was having their battles in the 1800s. The last Indian Wars. It was when the world was expanding. Everyone was sort of moving all over the place. But so I think when they discovered, Westerners discovered North America in like the 1600s, and then for the next 400 years or 300 years, things kind of changed hand a little bit. But the time when Native Americans had the worst period was during the 1800s, so it's during this time. But it doesn't seem like
all that bloodshed was going on. But from what I've read anyway, it wasn't nearly as violent or anything. There was a couple of violent instances, apparently, but they soon sort of realised that they could get on with each other.
Yeah.
So it wasn't long before the settlers had implemented a basic irrigation system using the water from the River Chubut, aka the Avon Camway. As thanks for their help, the settlers also taught the Tehuelche how to replicate this in their own settlements. So they sort of taught them irrigation techniques and things like that, so they could make fertile land around where they were sort of based. These irrigated sections of land, around 4 miles each side of a 50-mile stretch of river, so quite a big square mileage on this land, created Argentina's most fertile wetlands, yielding 6,000 tons of wheat by 1885, apparently winning a gold medal at the international expositions in Paris and Chicago. So there you go. If you can't run fast, you can't throw a fucking shot put or jump high or something, go get a gold medal in growing wheat or something. You got no fucking excuse. I don't know what those things are, by the way, the international expositions. In my mind, you just turn up and go, look at my corn. Look how good my corn is, and they go, yeah, that's a good corn, mate. Yeah,
international corn, mate. In the 1800s, like you said, it took 2 months for them to get there from fucking Wales. Like, it would take you so long to travel to actually to review all this stuff.
This is rubbish. This corn's rotten.
Just some guy in like Shropshire with a big cucumber left on his like fate, going, any minute now they'll come and give me the biggest marrow in all of the land.
Yeah, hold your breath, mate. Yeah, be here in a second. So with the settlers' success, they'd establish another small town in 1876 called Guyman, and while they were going strength to strength, there was the constant issue of getting supplies from Porth Madryn, today known as Puerto Madryn, to the up-and-coming town because of how difficult the Chubut River was to navigate on. So Lewis Jones, if you remember, was the guy who came over to Porthmadryn with Captain Lerv.
Yeah.
He began to push for a railway service to be built from the port to the town so that settlers could grow their home even more. After some strife from Lewis, the Argentine Congress authorised the building of the railway in 1884. The construction was funded by investors back in the UK and construction began in 1886 with the help of an additional 465 Welsh settlers that came over on the ship called the Vesta. They'd heard how well the settlement was going, thought they could get away from the English sort of stomping out the language and culture over there, and decided to join. The town eventually grew at the head of the rail line, around 9 miles east of that town, Gaiman, they established. And they named it Tre Lew, meaning Lew's Town in Welsh, in the man's honour.
Just as you said that, I just googled the Chubut River, and there's an image of the Chubut River flowing towards Tre Lew.
Yeah,
it looks fucking stunning. It looks so pretty. Yeah.
Honestly,
I mean, what a dream! If me and you,
I want to go over there, man. I so want to go over there.
Emma, my partner's sister-in-law and brother, their honeymoon was travelling South America, and they went to Patagonia. And they don't know. They know more about Wales now because they know me. But they're from Manchester, so
you'd have to force them to sit down and listen.
I force everyone to know more about Wales when they meet me.
Put a headphone in each and listen to our podcast for the next 6 hours.
But they went there on St. David's Day by chance. They were in Patagonia on St. David's Day, and the person there was called they stayed in this hostel called Forest Fawr or something very Welsh. And they started speaking to the person behind the reception, and she invited them to attend it was during St. David's Day, and to attend their local community hall where they had a St. David's Day parade, and they had a Welsh language, Spanish language mixture of thingies, and she sent me a video of them singing Wladfa in Welsh, and a mixture of the Spanish accent, and I was like, honestly, I think it's the one thing I have to do before I die is visit Patagonia.
Yeah, same, mate. I was thinking when I was reading about this, I've always thought I wanted to go, but I didn't realise that was when I was reading all these, doing my notes and everything. I was like, fuck, I need to go over there and go on to when they're doing. I'll get into it in a little bit, about how that connection's still alive even today with Wales. But it's definitely something I got to do. It
looks like something from Red Dead Redemption 2. It is absolutely stunning. The Chubut, me and you, we should go to the Chubut River, have a few cans, and then shoot each other in the head. Then be done with it.
If only we can think of a distraction for Amy and Emma, just to
they can get with each other. They can get together. I mean, you can just shoot each other in the head and be done with it all.
They get on, don't they? They're fine.
Yeah.
So where was I now? I can't remember where I was from. So they named that town Tre Lew, which is Lew's Town, Lewis Town, in the man's honour. So the town grew rapidly. It became the headquarters of the Compagnia Mercantil de Chubut, or the Chubut Trading Company. This is Tre Lew, yeah. And it also produced no less than 3 Welsh language newspapers in its time, one of which, Drafod, or The Discussion in English, that ran up until 1961. So that's a hell of a stint for a Welsh language newspaper in South America. Now, while Lewis Jones was fighting for the railway construction in the Chubut Valley, an offshoot of Welsh settlers mounted another expedition to explore more of Patagonia, with an aim to find more land suitable for colonising. The governor of the Chubut province at the time, Luis Jorge Fontana, what a cool fucking name, by the way. Sounds like a fucking, Argentinian James Bond. My name is Fontana. Luis Jorge Fontana. Jorge Fontana. Anyway, the governor, or Luis, he accompanied the settlers, which I like as well, where he went not just, he could just said, yeah, go on, crack on, but he went, you know what, I'm going to come with you. So he accompanied the settlers on this expedition, and by November 1885, they found another strip of fertile land that they named Cwm Hyfryd, or Pleasant Valley.
Oh, that's nice.
This was a site at the foot of the Andes Mountains, and it was said at the time that the Welsh felt very much at home beneath them, a big hill or mountain like that. By 1888, it was a fully operational Welsh settlement, leading to the creation of 2 towns, Esquel and Trevelyan. I like the sort of dichotomy there as well, sort of one very Spanish-sounding town right next to a very Welsh-sounding one.
And is that what it's still called now?
Yeah, Yeah, Trevelyan
That's
and
mad, isn't
Sgwel.
it?
But Trevelyan, just worth noting though, that Trevelyan is spelt with a V in this.
Trevelyan.
In
Oh,
this
well, that makes
instance.
sense because you pronounce
Yeah.
V for. So people who don't speak
Yeah.
Welsh, F is in Welsh
Is
makes
the
the
V
sound of a
in
V.
Welsh. Yeah.
So Trev
So
is
we would, if you were doing it here,
T-E-R-E-F.
you'd assume it was TREF, wouldn't you? But in Patagonia, it's TREVELIN. But yeah, Trevelyan is an incredibly Welsh sounding name. Then you fast forward a little bit, and after World War One, that essentially put a stopper to the Welsh immigration to Patagonia. But overall, it was estimated that around 2,300 people were said to have moved from Wales to Patagonia since the first crossing. So that doesn't seem like a lot, like 2,300, but I suppose if those towns
it's actually quite a lot.
are all full on, if those towns are all just full of Welsh people speaking Welsh, it's easy to see how the culture could have survived throughout generations.
And populations are massive now, but especially in South Wales at the time, this is kind of it's around the coal industry, but towns were tiny for ages.
And you got to remember that these settlements were literally, there's nothing there before these people got there. So that's quite a lot.
Yeah, and the only reason we have much bigger towns in Wales now is because there was a massive boom around this time where populations quadrupled. So that is, I don't think that sounds a small number considering how small.
No, I think it's just when you think of populations versus today, isn't it? Yeah.
But stop, because this is history, okay?
Yeah, we're not there now, are we?
Piss me off.
Yeah, I've had enough. So, Welsh was spoken in these settlements as well until relatively recently. But after 1941, there was a massive influx of people from Italy and other southern European countries. And as time went on, the Welsh language became a minority language even in these areas. But the Welsh marks of the land are still present today, with windmills and chapels made in traditional Welsh style, with lots of small towns, places and businesses bearing Welsh names. Every year, Trelew holds an Eisteddfod in October, which bear a lot of similarities to the Welsh version, but they also include lots of traditional Argentine dancing, folk tales, things like that. The whole event is spoken in both Argentine Spanish and Patagonian Welsh. There's also mini Eisteddfod type events that happen annually in other Welsh settled towns, like the Eisteddfod del Juventud every September in Gaiman, as well as similar events in Trevelyan and Puerto Madryn. There are 3 Welsh language schools in the Chubut province, if you can believe it. Ysgol y Hendre in Trelew, Ysgol Gymraeg y Gaiman in Gaiman, and Ysgol y Cwm in Trevelyan, which that blew my mind. There's actually 3 Welsh language schools in South America. That's class. Today, there is an estimated 70,000 people in Patagonia that can trace their ancestry back to Wales. And of that 70,000, around 5,000 are said to be able to speak Welsh.
That's so cool.
Patagonian Welsh is slightly different from native Welsh, but apparently a Welsh speaker from Wales would have no issue at all talking to someone who spoke Patagonian Welsh. The only example I will give, because I really liked it, is how they say going for a walk in Patagonian Welsh versus Welsh. No, so in Welsh, it's mynd am dro, as you know. In Patagonian Welsh, it's mynd I basiendo.
Oh, that's cool.
Mynd I basiendo. I like that. They also have their own version of the national anthem to represent Wladfa, so the Welsh settlements, if you like, based off the original Mae Hyn Wlad yn Hadau, called Gwlad Newydd y Cymru, which translated to the new country of the Welsh, for the English. I was just going to do the bit that you hear in the match, like you do the first verse and then the kit gam, what's that, the chorus, is it? But I think I'll do the whole thing because in the English it is really good. So to go through the Welsh now. This is the the Wladfa national anthem, not just Patagonia, it's just the Patagonian Welsh, basically. So it's Y mae Patagonia yn annwl I mi, Gwlad Newydd y Cymru mwy neillon yw hi, anadlu gwir rydydd y gawn y wlad, o gyrraedd gormesiaeth a brad. Gwlad gwlad pleidio lwy fi'n gwlad, tra hael y nen uwch ben ein o, bydded yw'r Wladfa barhau. And I'll do the other bits as well, because they're good as well. By'r Cymru yn gorwedd dan dirmig y drwch, wel diolch am Wladfa I codi'r wrllwch. Ein heniaeth a gadw'n mewn urddas a bri, tra'r gamwyn disgleirio ein llu. Caiff Cymro byth mwyach ymostwng I sais, terfynodd ei orthwm, distawyd ei lais. Y wladfa fawr y gwyn tra'r Andes wen fawr, a'i chorin yn ystafell y wawr. So the English version for the non-Welsh speakers there, this will probably get a bit more understanding. Patagonia is dear to me, the new land of the noble Welsh people. True freedom we breathe in our new country, far from the reach of oppression and betrayal. And the chorus then is, land, land, I am faithful to my land. While the sun rises above the land, oh may the settlement continue. The Welsh have been lying broken in scorn, well thanks to the Wladfa from dust we're reborn. Our language of old we laud and esteem, while Camway flows shining a stream. Let Welshmen submit to the English no more, their oppression is ended and silenced their roar. O Wladfa be praised while the great white Andes, with its peak in the chamber of dawn. So it's pretty good. It's like very
cool.
Nationalist and all that. This is a complete side note as well, by the way, and tell me if this is too much, but have you read the actual Welsh national anthem, My Hymn Wladau Fy Nhadau's choruses, not choruses, verses?
Yeah, I think we've done that on an episode before.
We did, but we never released them because they were the top 10 episodes and we got too political. So we had to bin them.
But we promise we will do our top 5, bottom 5 of Wales. We had a top 10, bottom 10, and it was too political, like you just said. So I reckon, yeah, we will do them, and we'll cover the Welsh anthem because it's a fucking banger. But I reckon we save that for another night. But
right, so
it does cover the same gist. It's the same, not the same gist. It does cover similar. They're not too dissimilar.
No, and they're also meant to be sung in the exact same like tone and
and the Welsh one
and all that, so.
Talks about surviving, and this is similar to survival. It's I would recommend watching a Griff Rhys film called Separado. So Griff Rhys is the lead singer from Super Furry Animals, one of the Welsh great bands. When it was called like Cool Cymru, which is an awful name, but it means like in like the 90s there was loads of Welsh bands that were considered very cool, and the Super Furries were one of them. And he's gone on to do some amazing work on his own, and he's still a fantastic musician, but he's also a great filmmaker. And I've talked about his stuff before, where he's done like he follows his great grandfather's journey into North America to find an ancient Native American tribe who speak Welsh or who know Welsh speakers. So it's called Griff Rhys American Interior. That's a really good one about America, but he did one called Separado, where he goes to Patagonia to try and find his long-lost Patagonian uncle, who's a musician called Rene Griffiths, and he's this like Spanish singer who sings in Welsh, and Griff has never met him, and he travels all the way across the world to find him, and the story's hilarious, it's really funny, but he goes down there and he meets lots of people in Patagonia, and it's it's a really good documentary. It's not too long, you can find it on quite a few like platforms and stuff, but hearing people speak Spanish people speaking in Welsh with a Spanish accent, it's like Siamai, fi di dod o'r fan hyn I siarad I ti. Sut wyt ti'n neud? Dydych chi'n popeth yn hapus efo ti? And it's like, what the fuck? It's wild, but it's really cool. So that's called Separado, and I'd highly recommend you watching that. You can get it on Amazon for like £3.
Do it, guys. But yeah, that's the very short version of how our pure, beautiful Welsh dragon bloodline continues in South America. And so they didn't have actual blood like wars with locals. Was there actual fights, or what was the beef? All I could find with the Patagonian stuff was they had a couple of little scraps when they first went over there, a bit of tension, but they soon learned to sort of just live.
But
with
when you
each
say
other.
scraps, you mean like scraps on a night out in Cardiff, not scraps where you got your fucking cannons.
No, I don't think. I don't think even there was like deaths as such. It was just like a little bit of tension and like a bit of handbags, you know. Yeah,
and that's not me excusing going to someone else's country, but I always just thought Wales. Well, I don't think Wales ever invaded anywhere. It's
you didn't want the dream to die, did you? You want to be able to say that.
The bias of how much I love Wales. It's ridiculous. I loved that, mate. That was really interesting. That was a really good one.
Oh, cheers. Oh, shucks.
Yeah. So get around our socials. Tales for Wales podcast. You can just find us on or then we'll probably start TikTok if we can be fucking arsed. Why should I don't know? We don't care about that.
If you want it, then just fucking say it.
Get on our
drop a comment
socials
on our Spotify fucking.
Well, I was going to do it to find new followers more than anything, because I think most people follow us on Instagram. We got quite a decent amount of you maniacs on there. Just keep getting in touch. It's really fun when we speak to you. And you guys have offered us, like, we had a really good thread on Reddit the other day where offered us fucking a shit ton of new episode ideas. So we'll get onto that. We'll add them.
Didn't know about
our
eye on. So it's being fed into the machine, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, and if you drop us a message on LinkedIn. If you drop us a message on LinkedIn, we'll have a really good.
We've been pouring money into LinkedIn ads. We're not getting anything back.
We love you a lot. We do love you sincerely, and you've always got a friend in us. Now, goodbye.
Cheers, guys. Ta-ta.